I've got 6:30, do you? Everybody ready?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to call the Farragut Beer Board for June 22nd, 2017 to order. First item is approval of minutes.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Second item, beer permit request. Approval of a Class 6 special occasion beer permit for the Farragut Business Alliance Red, White, and Blues Jam at West End.
Yes, sir. All their information is in order, and they're requesting the special event permit for July the 8th. It's on a Saturday night, and everything is in order, and the motion is to waive the $100 application fee and to approve the special occasion beer permit for the Red, White, and Blues Jam at West End Avenue. And Steve with the Farragut Business Alliance is here if you have any questions.
I'm going to make a motion to approve the beer permit request, approval of Class 6 special occasion beer permit for the Farragut Business Alliance.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, questions, discussion?
None.
This is one of the Farragut Business Alliance's shopping center events that they had agreed to in their memorandum of understanding. It's going to be a really nice event with, and I guess we'll talk about it later in the agenda, but they're going to have a bunch of bands, and it's celebrating the shopping center. The people that businesses that are in that shopping center are going to be taking place. So.
You got anything you want to say?
I got over 3 dozen excited businesses ready to enjoy a great day, and we've got good plans I can share with you a little bit later.
Terrific.
Right.
That was good.
Any other questions or comments?
None.
All right.
None.
Motion is on. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes. Next item. Hearing to address Dollar General located at 11809 Kingston Pike. It's a beer permit violation of the Town of Farragut's Code of Ordinance 8-201.
For the purpose of this agenda item is to address the violation for the Dollar General. The Knox County Sheriff's Department performed a beer sting on various businesses within the town on May 22nd. During the operation, an employee of the Dollar General sold alcohol to a minor, and a copy of the Knox County citation is attached. The Farragut Beer Board, per Section 8-22(1), has the power to revoke or suspend Dollar General's beer permit, or per Section 8-223, can offer a civil penalty as an alternative to the revocation or suspension. With respect to such permittee, the Beer Board may, at the time it imposes a revocation or suspension, offer the permittee the alternate of paying a civil penalty not to exceed $2,500 for each offense of making or the sales to the minor. The permit holder may have 7 days within which to pay the civil penalty before the revocation or suspension shall be imposed. If the civil penalty is not received within 7 days, the revocation or suspension shall begin 8 days after the Beer Board hearing. If the civil penalty is paid within the time, the revocation or suspension shall be deemed withdrawn. Payment of the civil penalty in lieu of revocation or suspension by the permit holder shall be an admission by the holder of the violation so charged, and shall be paid to the exclusion of any other penalty that the town may impose. So you have two motions tonight. The first motion is to find the Dollar General guilty or not guilty of the violation of selling beer to a minor. And if found guilty, the motion is to give a penalty of the amount for the violation of selling beer to a minor at the Dollar General. And for that, I'll hand it over to Tom.
Is a representative?
Danny Waddle, store manager of Dollar General.
Very good. Mr. Waddle, we have a kind of an elaborate procedure that we follow to work through these. It's elaborate to the extent there is a contest of the charge, but it's not elaborate if the violation is admitted, and then we just immediately go to the penalty phase. So I guess my question to you first is, does the store admit that there was a violation or do you wish to contest the charge?
Can we get you to come to the podium, please? And state your name and your address, please.
My name is Danny Waddle. I'm the store manager of the Dollar General at 11809 Kingston Pike. Dollar General does accept that there was a violation occurred.
All right. Well, with that, then I think we would move into the penalty phase. And the penalty phase generally involves sort of an explanation of the details from our enforcer, and if there's any unusual circumstances about this particular one that might indicate it's more serious than just a normal violation, we'd like to know that, and then any questions that the board has for either party, they can ask and then decide what they think the penalty ought to be. And as Allison explained, our ordinance, as well as state law, provides that where a violator is not part of the responsible vendor program under state law, which I don't believe we don't have any responsible vendors under the state law in the town of Farragut, do we?
Not in Knox County.
Not in Knox County. Okay, so under the Tennessee code and under our code, then the question becomes whether there's going to be a revocation, and if so, for how long of the permit, and if there is a desire, the board has the authority to, in lieu of the revocation, suggest a fine, which, if paid within 7 days, suspends the revocation. So that's kind of where we are. Would you want to step up and explain to the board who you are and what the details of this matter were, and if there was any mitigating circumstances or circumstances that made it a more egregious violation? Why don't you explain that to the board?
Okay, I'm Captain Alan Wolfie May. I'm with the Knox County Sheriff's Office. I'm the beer inspector for Knox County and the town of Farragut. And on May 23rd, 2017, I sent an underage minor in to Dollar General, 11809 Kingston Pike, Farragut, and was able to buy a 6-pack of Miller Lite bottles. The clerk was cited to Sessions Court in Knox County on the
It was the 5th of June, wasn't it?
yes, sir, sometime in June.
June 5th, I think.
That's when she went to be booked.
Okay.
Was it June 5th?
Are there any other, do you know if there have been any other violations by the Dollar General?
Not this one.
No.
Well, do you have any statement you'd like to make about the circumstances of this that you want the board to know about?
Yes, Candace did ID, and it was just a miskey. That's what our company determined. It's still the technical violation. She's a very nice girl, very efficient, but when she punched it in, the 8 and 9 are real together, and she was just, and it was just a careless act on her part.
Help me understand, between the 8 and 9, I'm a little confused as to what you're saying.
It prompts for the age. Anytime someone sells beer or cigarettes or anything, if it requires ID or verification, it prompts. And we have to physically look at the ID. The person pulled out the ID. It's all on camera. And she looked at it, and she just punched the date in. The problem was she didn't punch in the correct date. She punched in the wrong year. It makes it a technical violation, but but she, she just made a mistake. She just messed up.
Wolfie.
On all of my underage people, their driver's license or intermediate restricted have the red stripe. I talk about that every time I come down here. And in this case, her driver's license said under 21 until 4/28/2019. So they don't have to do any swapping, do anything else. Everyone's driver's license says that when they're 21 years of age.
Members of the board, any of you have questions, just feel free to ask.
don't have any. I don't
Before
have
we
any-
get into that, I'd like to review with a little bit of information here. Last year, there were several violations, and there was some discussion as to what should be fined and so forth, the suspension periods. And David supplied us with some information since then, and the suspension has typically been anywhere from 7 to 30 days, typically around 14 days. And the maximum fine, as stated earlier, was $2,500. And apparently, the first offense has averaged in the past $500, second offense around $750 to $1,000. Now, we don't have to, that was an average at one time, and we've been a little bit more lenient recently, but I wanted to throw that information out before we get into discussion of suspension time and dollar fines.
And that was the comment I was going to follow up on. I spoke to John Schoonmaker and to see what the Knox County Commission does, because I'm thinking that maybe we would like to be in concert with the Knox County Commission, have some continuity between our body and theirs. And for their first offense, they do a 30-day suspension or a $1,000 fine. And second offense in 3 years, they do a 60-day suspension or a $2,500 fine. And I support that idea. I think that would be a good way for us to go moving forward, but I don't know how the rest of you feel about that.
I'm sorry, give me that suspension period for the first.
30-day suspension or a $1,000 fine. If a second offense within 3 years, it's a 60-day suspension or a $2,500 fine.
That seems a little steep to me, the 30 and 1,000. But I'm open for discussion and other comments.
I think I could be content with a fine and not a revocation.
Well, we can give them a choice.
What we do, we either
Yeah.
give them the choice of either a suspension or they can pay a fine.
That's what we have done in the past, so I suggest we ask him.
I do have a question about your employee. Have they had any more training concerning this?
Yes, she's redone all of her CBLs. She's also reread the operating manual and signed it. So she's repeated all of her training.
Before you leave, I have a packet here for you. It's put out by the Metro Drug Coalition, and it has to do with a lot of information that you can use with your staff to help deter underage people getting their hands on alcohol. Well, I think we need to discuss the suspension and fine period, suspension period and dollar fine. Anybody want to throw out a?
Well, do you want to just make the first motion first, since that one we know we can get through? The motion to find Dollar General guilty of the violation of selling beer to a minor?
That we find Dollar General guilty of the violation of selling beer to a minor.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Motion that we penalize, that we fine Dollar General $500 for violation of selling beer to a minor for the first offense.
A second.
Before we vote, do we want to, about a suspension, we can offer them an option, $500 or
30-day suspension or 14, what did you guys want to do, 14 days?
I'm for 14.
Is this a one or the other?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, the way state law operates in our code is that if they are suspended for a stated period of time, or they may pay the fine and the suspension or revocation is wiped off. So they can avoid the suspension or the revocation by paying the fine. So you really need to adopt a time period and what your penalty is going to, or what your fine is going to be.
Okay, so Bob's motion was for a $500 fine. Bob, do you want to put in a suspension time?
Or a 14-day suspension.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
And I have some discussion on that. I am concerned that we are going a little light, and I'm just going to let you know that I think that I think we need to be coming down a little bit harder on underage beer sales. It makes us, it looks like it's easier to get away with something in the town of Farragut than it is in the rest of Knox County. And that's all I've got to say.
That's an interesting point. Anybody want to address that?
Well, this is considerably more than what not considerably, it is more than what we have fined in the past.
For first offense.
For first offense.
Yeah.
So I think we've gotten a little stiffer, which we wanted to do. I'm not sure that I agree with what the county's doing. I haven't,
Yeah, I feel willing to give people benefit of doubt. First offense, do it again, it's a whole other story. But I think I understand Alderman Pavlin's comment, and I certainly appreciate it. I don't know that it's particularly beneficial. I think this makes the point, and if they do it again, then it's pretty obvious that we're not getting the point across, and we can address it again.
any further discussion?
None.
Time for a vote. All in favor of, was it 14 days and?
Or
What?
14 days or $500.
Or $500. 14 days or $500. That's the motion.
Yes.
It's been seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, passes. You've got a choice to make between paying the $500 fine or being suspended for 14 days.
We'll pay the fine.
Okay.
Needs to be paid within 7 days.
Yes.
And I would like you to take this as well.
Where do I pay it at?
You can pay it at the front desk.
Your business hours.
As I come in the door?
Yes.
Officer May, can I ask you a question, just for informational purposes? Last time you all did this, my memory is we had about 3 or 4, maybe 5 violations. 6 at one
Yes.
time.
No, 7. No, 8.
How many operations did you conduct on this particular foray?
I checked counting Knox County and town of Farragut, 65 places.
And there was only one in the town of Farragut?
One in town of Farragut. We had 7 in Knox County.
Do you know how many vendors you tested in Farragut?
Just this one, this time. Last time, was pretty good.
I mean, do you know how many you checked? How many different vendors you checked in
I
Farragut?
checked all of the convenience stores and grocery stores in town of Farragut.
Okay, so we're doing better, sounds like.
I haven't hit the restaurants yet. That's usually where I pick up citations
We had several last time, I remember.
from the restaurants. Yes, sir.
Well, thank you. We sure appreciate your work. Thank you. It's very important.
Thank you for being here, Wolfie.
Any other discussion, business for the beer board? If not, we are adjourned.
7 o'clock, and it's time. So this is now the Farragut Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting, and we will start by rising for a moment of silent prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First item is the approval of the agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Next item is Mayor's report, and for this, we are going to have a report from our Chamber of Commerce. Who's going to do this?
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Alderman.
Good evening.
I believe you should have in front of you a comprehensive listing of events and activities for the Chamber for the past fiscal year, and I'll go over some of them. As you know, we had a very interesting fiscal year for 2016-17, and in some ways it was challenging. We saw the retirement of our past president, Betty Sisko, of 17 years, the transition from myself to executive assistant, to interim director, and then to president and CEO. We were understaffed by one, which for a staff of 3 is quite a bit. And for a short time, right before our auction, we were down 2 staff. So we've seen a lot in a very, very short period of time. I'm proud to say that we are now fully staffed again. I have a wonderful new executive assistant, Therese Bradbury, who, if you've not yet met her, you will. She comes to us from a chamber in North Carolina, and she's very excited to be in this area and learn more about it. We also have a new front office manager, Suzanne Krieger, and if you've not met her yet, I look forward to that. We also, for the summertime, have some hourly assistance from one of our Farragut High School interns, and we have been very proud to continue that partnership with the high school. She's learning a great deal from us in this new position. She loves the area, and her favorite thing this week is she got a selfie with Mayor Burchett on Tuesday, so that was the highlight of our week. But just to go over some of our activities and our numbers, we've been tracking networkings, ribbon cuttings, membership, and other figures, both in total as well as the percentage in Farragut and those businesses in Farragut that we promote. And it pleases me greatly to say that we are up in most of those from 2015-16. Our Farragut networking businesses, we're up 60% from 46% from the prior fiscal year, up 55% from 46% for ribbon cuttings. Membership, we are up ever so slightly to 755 from 740, and Farragut membership is up to 310 from 304, but that does not change the percentage. Community events and meetings total, we are up to 80% in Farragut from 71% last year. A couple of other things that we are working on. We have some very new and young blood at the Chamber, and this is wonderful for us because it's helping us to harness things like social media, where we can attract our young professionals and younger residents to this area to shop, stay, or play. One of the things that we're looking at tracking is the return on that investment, and it's difficult, but we've noticed that from 2015-16, we had an average social media post reach of about 50. As of this year, we're up to 500, and that's a great deal of increase. We're learning a lot in terms of how important that visibility is. As my intern and as my new executive assistant tell me, all the young people are on Instagram, the old people are on Facebook. which I use Facebook, so that makes me feel really good.
Or that.
I'm not really sure. But what's wonderful about that is we're learning that there's marketing opportunities. We've experimented with allocating small parts of our budget, $10, $15, to marketing on social media, and we're seeing a good return on that. And so one of the proposals that we came up with to add to our list of things that we accomplish for the chamber as well as for the town is to dedicate part of our budget to boosting some of the town's social media, coordinating with whoever works on that, to see if we can't help lend our credibility as a Chamber of Commerce and our business community to you all. A couple of other things. We have an executive board member, our vice chair, who's going to be reviving our lunch educational program. We've already had a proposal from a couple of restaurants in Turkey Creek, Farragut area to coordinate on that, and you'll get more info on that as it comes. We also are now receiving information on the businesses that register in Farragut, which is something new for us. And something that I'm doing is I'm sending a personal letter to those businesses to welcome them, as well as invite them to be part of the chamber. We're about to close out our fiscal year, and I'm incredibly proud of us. I am incredibly proud of the job that we've done, but there's so much more that I want us to do, and I'm excited to share that with you all.
Are you getting whatever you need from us?
I am seeing a wonderful increase in presence and attendance, and that is unmeasurable. From the alderman to the vice mayor, as well as to you, Mayor, to our town administrator, David. It is so great for our businesses and our members to see the presence of the town and to see their support. And I cannot thank you enough, each of you, for that.
I'm glad to hear that. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Comments? Questions?
They are, it is really great to see what the chamber's been doing, and it is an exciting time. I know we miss Betty, but we get to see what Julie wants to do with this, and I know Tim has been really hands-on with seeing how you can see putting in new programs and seeing what works. So I really support what you guys are doing, and I appreciate what you do for the town of Farragut. And we've seen a lot of businesses open in the past several months. I was getting kind of a little tired there for a while with all the ribbon cuttings. Like, this is good, but geez, I need a nap. So
I'm just doing my job.
Yes,
Sorry.
It's been a real exciting time for Farragut, and you guys are really, you're doing a great job, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
My comment is I know you've been doing a fantastic job, and I really appreciate all that you do, but putting it together like this so we can actually put eyes on it has been very helpful. So
Good.
thank you for the effort that you put into this as
We
well.
will continue to do it. Thank you. Anyone else?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is Citizens Forum. Do we have anybody?
No, sir.
To approval of minutes from June 8th.
I have read through the minutes, and it all seems to be in order. I make a motion, we approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Moving to ordinances. This is second reading. Ordinance 17-09, ordinance to establish fiscal year 2018 budget for the general fund, state street aid fund, capital investment fund, equipment replacement fund, and insurance fund budgets of the town of Farragut, Tennessee, for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2017, and ending June 30th, 2018.
Thank you, Mayor. After first reading of the budget, there was a few changes that we discussed that the Alderman wanted to make as part of your motion on first reading. Three of those, the three main changes are up here on your screen. One is we have included an additional Public Works maintenance operator. We have also included a little bit more cost for our HRA administration. That's dealing with our health insurance fund that we have. Those expenses this year are running a little high, so we wanted to include a little bit more money for that. And then we also deleted the teacher recognition program as requested by the board. So with those three changes to the budget, that brings our total expenditures projected for FY18 at $6,994,579. Our revenues also are staying the same as they were last week, at $10,569,320 for the general fund, and then again the $6.9 million for expenditures in the general fund. We also have kept our CIP the same as last, as well as State Street Aid, Insurance Fund, and our Equipment Replacement Fund. So with that, I'll be happy to try to answer any questions for the board, if there are any.
I'm going to move to approve Ordinance 17-09 on second reading to adopt the annual budget for the town of Farragut, Tennessee for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2017 and ending June 30th, 2018.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Next is
Approval of contract 2017-808, Mayor Bob Leonard Park renovations.
We have to miss the red, white, and blues.
This one, previous page.
Yeah.
Who put that one there? All right, this is approval of Farragut Business Alliance special event Red, White, and Blues Jam at West End, July 8, 2017.
This event will be held at the West End Shopping Center. The setup will begin Friday and the teardown will be completed by Sunday morning. The event is free to the public and will promote the retail and other merchants in the West End Shopping Center. The event will have live music and food from the surrounding restaurants. The FBA is requesting to place a parking sign at the corner of Kingston Pike and West End Avenue in addition to other wayfinding directional signs. Also requested is the partial closure of the southbound lane of West End Avenue for bike demonstrations, and that's included in your packets. The motion is to approve this special event request for directional signage and right-of-ways and partial lane closure of the southbound lane of West End Avenue.
Well, I move that we approve the request of special event directional signage and rights-of-way and partial lane closure of the southbound lane of West End Avenue.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye. We have any questions for,
I did have one question. You're expecting about 500 people, did I read?
500.
Yeah. I thought I read somewhere,
If the weather is like today, maybe 500, but if the weather is like earlier this week, more. Well more than
I'm hoping it's going to be a lot more. I guess my question is
Come on,
parking. Is there going to be enough parking in the West End Avenue area, or are they going to have to park at the school or Kroger or where?
There's
What's
still
your
additional
thought?
parking behind Buddy's on the side of Buddy's, the, the west side. That's parkable and we'll be able to be in and out right there. There's parking, of course, on the entire other side of the West End over by Goodwill, Echelon Bikes, and it's a nice short walk down from the high school. So
Yeah.
people don't even have to go across the street, but they can, and there's crosswalks there at Kingston Pike.
Will you have signs directing them up to the school in case we do have a really super
Yes, and
crowd?
we have 3 officers, and I have volunteers for parking and direction.
Good.
I will remind you, this is an FBA event, which means that there's probably a good likelihood of some rain sometime during that day.
And we have tents, so.
I'm excited about this. I'm expecting a big crowd, so.
and this is on blacktop, right?
Yes, no mud, no more mud.
Well, this will be interesting. Thank you for your efforts there.
Thank you, Steve.
All right, now I'm going back to ordinances, right?
No.
Ordinance 17-09, ordinance to establish the fiscal year.
Actually, it's to be the approval of the contract 2017-08. It's probably in the back side of that. It'll be in the back side,
OB.
or the second page.
Do what? Did we dispense with this?
Not yet.
Y'all have to bear with me, I haven't slept, or something like that. All right, so approval of contract 2017-08, Mayor Bob Leonard Park renovation of the athletic field, restroom, construction of parking.
Well, let me start out by saying we received 2 bids for contract 2017-08 on May 17th. You'll recall this is the conversion of Field 3 at Mayor Bob Leonard Park from regular turf to synthetic turf field, as well as a complete renovation of the restroom and changing facilities, and as well as a parking lot. During the design of this project, we kind of increased the cost, unfortunately, with we're going to have a very signature structure out there with the restroom facility. We've also added 2 or 3 other elements that have bumped the price, but we feel they're definitely needed. One item that came up during the design was the fact that our handicap parking spaces at the upper parking lot were not actually ADA compliant, so that's added a good bit of cost to this. The original budget estimate for the project was $1,180,000, but our lowest bid has come in at $1,385,555. Now, we do feel like that is a reasonable price for this, and in fact, the budget that you have just approved does include additional funding to cover this additional cost. So in your packets, I included a bid tabulation from the project. We received 2 bids, one from Wineset Hill Constructors Incorporated. Their base bid was $1,385,555. The other bid was from Creative Structures, $2,206,336. There were also alternate bid items that we included in the contract in case they are needed. Now, the idea is if they're not needed, of course, we won't need to have them, but we wanted to obtain unit prices for those bid items in case. So the idea is to limit the amount of costs for any kind of change order in case there are issues with the soil out there, among other things. Staff recommendation is award of this contract 2017-08 to Wineset Hill Constructors Incorporated with their base bid of $1,385,555, as well as the alternate bid items of $37,000 even. Sue Stoll is here if you have any specific questions project related. I'm sure she can help out with any questions you have.
I'll move for approval of bids and award contract 2107-08 to Winnett Hill Incorporated for the low bid of $1,385,555, plus up to an additional $37,000 for alternative bid items if necessary.
Second, and I will have some questions.
I'm just going to make a secretarial adjustment. That's supposed to be 2017, not 2107. 2017-808.
Oh, in the proposed motion?
Yes, in the proposed motion.
Oh,
So I revise my motion. And so where are you,
It's
2017?
Yeah.
2017-8,
Yes.
okay. So let me restate that. A motion for approval of bids and award contract 2017-8 to Wineset Hill, Inc. for low bid of $1,385,555, plus up to an additional $37,000 for alternative bid items if necessary. So,
That was mine, but
That was
that's
your
fine.
motion.
Those are words right out of my mouth.
second.
Couldn't have said it better, Bob.
As I was reading it, I kind of got thinking about that.
I have a question. What is the alternate bid item? What are those? What is that for?
Sue, do you want to?
Alternate bid items.
It's on this page. Louise.
The alternate bid items are, basically have to do with whatever the soil is below the natural turf field right now and in the parking lot area. So it depends on what they find there.
No, till we start digging.
Exactly.
We have done some potholing out there. We have a good idea of the depth of topsoil.
Okay.
That was built into the original contract, but just in case, because it's been a long time since that field was constructed.
It was the first field.
We just didn't want any surprises where we find out that there's 19 feet of topsoil or something like that.
Okay. Got it.
I have a question.
Sure.
How many more parking places are?
I believe there are 44 or 45 asphalt parking places, but another, it's hard to tell exactly because it depends on how people park in a grassed area, but we're doing a grassed area that will be open for overflow parking. That's a mixture of stone and dirt and grass that'll be built for this purpose, and probably another 40 or so spots for that.
40 or 80?
Well, it'll be 45 asphalt and probably another 40 or so in grass when we need it. We'll open that only when we need it for special events.
And how many parking places do we have now?
That is a good question. I think there's 200, a little less than 300, I believe, that are out there right now. We do have parking problems on our peak nights, especially on Monday and Thursday evenings, and especially in the area of the East baseball field.
So we're talking a total of 380 potential.
I think, I'd have to go back and look exactly how many.
Approximately.
Yeah.
Okay.
It may be less than that, I'm not sure.
By there in a weekend and it'll be full.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's
when
neat.
there's events, it's obviously, if you've been to Freaky Friday, you know it's there and everywhere else, but.
Can you explain a little bit about the fence? You said rather than a typical split rail, you're going to do a little bit more substantial so people can sit on it. I'm a little confused.
Exactly. So the synthetic turf field needs to have a fence around it to protect it for a lot of reasons. Our typical fencing around fields and detention areas and along the sides of parks is a split rail. And it can be problematic over time and has some maintenance, but can give you a lot of experience about that. And people sit on them, and they're not really meant to do that. This is more of a square post and a beam on top of it, and then another square post, and it's very substantial. And it will stop anyone trying to drive on the field, which has happened in area fields around. And it will also allow some area for people to sit on. It'll be lower than our normal fence.
I was questioning
Yeah.
how it's going to be lower.
Yes.
Okay.
Is this pressure treated?
Yes, I think, yeah. Yeah.
They're the really heavy wood timbers
They're-
that,
yeah.
it will allow people to sit on it because they're going to sit on, if it's a split rail fence, they're still going to
You'll
sit on it.
yeah.
And that will tear it up.
There's not a whole lot of area between the parking lot and that field anyway, so we're trying to get as much double use there as we can.
The deterrent factor of it.
Yes.
What do we know about Wineset Hill? That's not a name I'm familiar with. Where are they from? What do we know about
They
them?
have not done work with us in the past, but we have called their references, and they come very highly regarded. I think there were 4 or 5 references in the bid packet. I think is that correct? Everyone spoke very highly of them.
Where are they from?
They've been around 30 years or so. I'm not sure where,
They're Middle Tennessee.
Middle Tennessee?
How many RFQs did you send out?
Well, it's a
Well,
bid.
It was a bid, not an RFQ.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know how many were picked up. I think there are 5 or 6.
About 5 or 6 picked up, but there were only 2 that submitted bids.
Oh, okay.
The synthetic turf field contractor is Playwright, which is the same one that's done our other 2 fields. We've been very happy with them. So they're the subcontractor for Wineset.
Okay, I don't have any more questions.
I have none.
None.
So we're ready to vote.
See, so we're down to
We gotta
C.
vote.
Got to
We gotta
vote.
vote.
We have a motion on the table. We need to vote. Yeah.
Getting ahead of myself. So do we have a motion and a,
Motion is on the table. We just need a vote at this
all
point.
right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Passes.
But before you get away from this item, let me just point out something that I meant to. This is partially funded with a local Parks and Recreation Fund grant of $500,000. Kudos to Sue Stoll for obtaining that grant. This is, I don't know how many she's done in the past, but I think all 3 fields now have been done with that. Is that correct?
2 of them.
Just 2? But $500,000 is, that's a
big
home
deal.
run.
Yep, it's a big deal. Thank you, Sue.
Sue is a grant-winning machine.
Pressure.
Lucky that way, aren't we?
Thank you, Sue.
All right, let's move on to C, approval of special event signage for the new Sentinel Open Golf Tournament.
Yes, sir. Over the past few years, the Knoxville Golf Tournament has requested and been granted permission to place directional signs in the town's right-of-ways. The requested placement of the directional signs is illustrated in your attachments. The signs will be erected on August 12th and 13th and removed by the close of business Monday, August 21st. As requested, no directional signs will be closer than 200 feet to an intersection. And the motion is to approve the proposed placement of directional signage within the town of Farragut's right-of-ways for the new Sentinel Open.
I'm going to move for approval of proposed placement of direction signage within the town of Farragut's right-of-way for the new Sentinel.
I'll second.
Are these basically placed where they've been in the past? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Discussion.
I have no.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Moving to D, approval of the appointment of a Board of Mayor and Alderman member to the Farragut Planning Commission.
Sir, as stated in Section 2-101 of the Farragut Municipal Code, the Board of Mayor and Alderman is to elect a board representative to serve on the Farragut Planning Commission. Currently, Louise Poblin is the board's representative. In your packet is the section for the creation and the membership. So the proposed motion is to approve a board member of the Board of Mayor and Alderman to be a representative to the Farragut Planning Commission.
I think Louise has done an outstanding job in the past and currently, and I'd like to move that we approve Louise Poblin for the position again.
Second.
Any discussion?
We have any other nominations?
Any other nominations? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Lost my place. So, this takes us down to the town administrator's report.
Mayor, we got a pretty big event coming up here in a couple weeks with the July 4th parade. It's the biggest event we have all year. A lot of our town staff volunteers for that day. And I know Sue and Bud and the crew are all ready to go. So we look forward to having that. Amanda Hara is going to be from WVLT, I believe. Is that right? Is going to be the, what do you call it? Grand Marshal. Thank you, Sue. The Grand Marshal of the parade this year. So it should be a great event, and hopefully we'll have some great weather for that as well. And before that event starts that morning down Kingston Pike, we're also going to have the Fleet Feet Fun Run. They're going to have a 1 mile run and a 2 mile run, and I believe the 1 mile run has been certified by the state. So if anybody is a real fast runner and wants to go try to beat their world record mile time, then you can go out and get it certified. So anyway, that should be a fun run right before the parade that morning. It's going to start here at Town Hall and registration, and then be able to shoot up Campbell Station Road to Kingston Pike and go down from there. Also, we don't have this happen very often, but we do have a retirement party taking place June 30th for Alexis Crawford. She is a longtime employee of the town, and we're looking forward to having that great day for her. I believe she's worked with us now for 28 years. Is that right, Janet? Does that sound about right? 28 years with the town, so we really appreciate her loyalty and hard work with us all these years. And so that's going to be taking place June 30th from 4 to 6. If any of the aldermen have a chance to drop in on that, we really would appreciate it. So with that, that's all I have to report.
Can I just add on to that? I've stopped in a few times into the community development area, and Alexis is working really hard to get her replacement trained up. So I really appreciate her dedication to our town and continuing straight to the end. She's got a real affection for our town, and most of our, well, all of our staff seems to have an affection for our town, and they serve us very well. And Alexis is going to be a big loss.
She sure will.
He was our second.
Not our second. I think our top 5 or 6 probably. Not even. She is our second longest serving employee right now, behind the gray-haired individual there in the back, Mr. McKelvey. Okay. She's been here a long time, though. And the other thing I wanted to mention, too, is that we will be canceling the July 13th Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting due to lack of a quorum. So that will not take place, but we'll have our regular meeting on July 27th.
I've got an item as well for anybody that has free time on the 3rd. Out at Yates Construction, we're putting the float together for the Farragut Museum, and we do need volunteers.
Together what?
A float.
We're putting the ship together.
Well, Farragut's going to ride on his float again.
Oh.
Is Lou going to dress up again? Is Lou dressing up?
Are we adjourned?
I think we are adjourned.
All right.
You missed the record by 3 minutes. Okay, so where am I going for this thing? Because Lou started to tell me, and I didn't have anything to write with, and I...
Yates Construction.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.